Divorce is not a simple process. It
Hmm.
involves a variety of different modalities that come together. You've got very practical issues like who's going to live where, who's going to get what, who's going to pay what, where are the kids going to be. You've got your children's emotional and financial well-being as well as your own and your spouse's. And then I think at the beginning of divorce, and this is one of the reasons why I tell people a coach is really one of the most important first hires for your team, is the emotions are usually all over the place.
Yes, the emotions are running wild, and divorce emotions are kind of waves. They come, they arise, they take over. You feel like you're crashing, and then you start living your life again. And it kind of comes in those waves. And I think that's where a lot of us start this process. And so to know how to handle those waves as they come, I think it's the emotional piece that is really hard for people to understand through this process. They struggle with it.
Yeah.
And it's normal. It's all part of the process of trying to figure out what your next big move is. And it's a huge decision.
It's huge, and you're going to have a million of them that you need to make, right,
Right.
throughout this process. But I love your wave analogy, and it's making me think of somebody who's standing on the beach right now, dipping their toes into the ocean, right? They're dipping
Hmm.
their toes into what does divorce look like? They're dipping their toes into that ocean. And the waves that are coming at them right now, which might be information, are
Hmm.
huge, right? And the waves that are coming at them right now that are their emotions, they're huge. These aren't little ripples that are like, sort of splashing against your
Right.
knees. These are the ones that can knock you down. And the waves will change as you go through the process. But what we know for people is the ones at the very beginning are big ones. And they are
Yeah.
potentially going to knock you down if you don't have the right mindset and the right support to stand up as they come crashing over you. So,
Exactly.
why don't you tell me from your perspective with your, really diverse background, what you see? I know you sort of see divorce as, a complex process that has these variety of different um, challenges that come at people.
Yeah. And I think those big questions, do I hire a lawyer? Do I ask to move out? Do I ask for a divorce? Those are the big questions. But even before you get there, I think the key question that people need to ask themselves is, how do I want to show up for this process? Because how you show up for this process determines everything. How you set the tone, if you're the one that's about to ask for a divorce, how you set the tone determines how you're going to move through that process and the amount of conflict that you will have in the process. And as we all know, the more conflict, the harder the divorce. So, how you set the tone from day one really, really matters. And I found that that's one of the hardest things for people to do because they're struggling with all of the logistics. They're struggling with all of the financial worries, all of these worries. It's really hard to take a step back and say, okay, how do I show up? How do I move through this process? What do I need to do to get my head in the game and to get my mindset in the right place?